All right, Shalom, Israel. Just a quick video, man. Um, Getting right into it, you know how we do. Giving all praises to Yahweh Bashim Ravashai Bashim Kakadash. Barakatah Yahweh Barakatah Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Kal Halal Yahweh Bashim Ravashai Bashim Kakadash. Barakatah Yahweh Barakatah Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostle, elders, a great millstone. Most salutations to the brothers teaching the word for the hopeful elect. Soon it be elect, most high will. So, and then he said, soon it'll be later, because short in time for the elect's sake. The contrite spirits extended the hopeful elect blessings, turning back to the Most High. And I don't know. I want to try to make this quick, you know, but I don't know what I'm gonna call it. But this is Aaliyah, and that's her real name. She's an R&B artist back then. Came out in the '90s, and um, she's deceased now. She's in the spirit world, and she's gonna be in the kingdom. But I fell in love with Aaliyah first with her voice, and they say her voice is. Um, they often did videos about how her voice was mature. But the thing about that too, I'm not too older than Aaliyah. You know, I'm 5 years older than Aaliyah. So she was born in '79. I was born in '74. Um, and that's kind of crazy because my first relationship, that the woman I was involved with, her birthday. I mean, her birthday was different, but her the year was the same. She was born in 1979, and I met her when I was 18, so or 17, going on 18. But you know, she was born in Brooklyn in New York City. She took some art classes, I think, culinary arts or whatever, in Detroit. So she was pretty known, and she had a so-called, what you call it, a Muslim name, but that's really Hebrew. Um, that word Yah is short for Yahweh. Her name. Allah, Allahaya, means power exalted, and that's what she explained in her interviews. The most exalted, you know, um, the highest praise, pretty much. And it was unfortunate accident. I'm not gonna speak on that. I'll just you know get to to my points and all that. So she had a mature voice. She was about 15 at that time, so I was 19. And even when she was when she was 14, I was 19. So when she came out, she was 14. She had a mature voice. Um, so I didn't even see her. I didn't even know nothing about her. I didn't know, but let's say I've heard of many relationships where the man is when the woman is 18 and the man is 23. That's not too that's not too far of a gap. Um, so her being 14 and um, unlearned, with no knowledge and so-called innocent, even though she had already been groomed by that time in the industry. Um, you know, it That's why the supervision is there under the father, because the father is not going to allow his daughter to mess with anybody that's if his daughter is not ready and not mature enough, he's going to not allow his daughter to go out there. But that's not the case these days, and that's why you have a lot of women getting pregnant even at 11. You could look up an 11-year-old pregnant woman. Um, but the father, it was a natural law, the Israelite customs, to where by the time she's of age, past flower of her age, which is when she gets her cycle, she's ready. And they even had a custom to where you had to bring a towel or a cloth with blood on it to show that that element of practice. Um, so, you know, I was young too. We were young too. We were all young at even between our high school days of you don't get out of high school until you 19. Last year of high school you're pretty much 18 years old. And if you graduate early, you can even graduate at like 17 years old or a 16-year old. It depends how smart you are. So, but there's a thin line. There's a iffy a thin line, so to speak, when you talk about these subjects in America because of what hasn't been practiced or continued to be practiced, which is supervision under the father. So if you have a daughter and she gets pregnant by a man that's, she's 13, 14, get pregnant by a man that's 20, and you be like, oh, he's a fucking monster. Well, blame it on the system for one, because if they would embrace the real practices of Israel and the real customs, she would be supervised under her father. So nothing will go, past the fathers and the uncles and the whole unit of fatherhood, so to speak, which was a supervision. And then when you get into the industry, you find out that they didn't sacrifice their children and no supervision, you know. And she was worse in she was way worse in the industry than being under holy men of Israel. Cause I'm pretty sure 100% she was getting popped at 14. Well, the Kelly case thing, R. Kelly case thing. If she was supervised by a Israelite father that followed the customs, she wouldn't. If she would have she wouldn't have delved into the darkness of the industry. She would have been well off and still a decent woman with a decent man. Because R. Kelly wouldn't have been admitted and permitted to see Aaliyah if they were going by Israelite customs. So, and I'm making a statement too. If you know, I fell in love with her maturity before I even knew her age. And if you go to her videos and like this one, and her voice is a mature voice. But I was young too. I was only 18, I mean 19 years old. Today, and especially today, that's young. And a 19-year-old really don't know. You don't really Men don't really even move out their mother's house until 30 years old, because they ain't learned shit. But when you learn something, that's a different dynamic. And it says that in the scriptures. It says, "Dwell with them according to knowledge." I'm not guaranteed to be with no a female that's skipping and playing and lolly dottying and all that shit. So yeah, I'm not going to be with no fucking ass little fucking kid. You dumbass devils, you faggot ass demons. But you do have men that love little kids, man. So that's not GMS style. But dwell with them according to knowledge, King James Version. Says First Peter 3:7. It says, "Likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge, giving honor to the wife as the weaker vessel, as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers be not hindered." So I was listening to the maturity of her voice. So I thought she was the same age as me. Now, did I ever sleep with an underage woman? Hell no. Because when the first relationship that I had, and the first, so to speak, so-called love that I had, she was 18 years old. But if she would have been 17 and I would have been 22, it's not a far gap either. You know what I'm saying? And people in so-called black families would overlook that, because they're both immature and they're both pretty young or whatever. But that's the American way. When you when a man when he sought a man for his daughter, so to speak, or when a man had wanted his daughter, he was way more mature and he was older. You know, not no way older like some old creepy ass man. Because what did the Most High say too? We have to return to the hearts of a child. That doesn't mean that we, children per se, as far as in the form of knowledge, but the form of order. They are under us, and they're likened to children like us. And that's why they. I mean, you can see it for yourself. That's why they always want to shop, no matter how. They could be a 40-year-old woman. That's all she want to do is shop and nails and hair and have fun and parties and all that. But kid don't necessarily mean um, a child doesn't necessarily mean um, a baby or some. It means sons. So if a father returned from the military, I mean a son returned from the military to meet his father, he's going to the father's gonna kiss him on the head like that's my child, that's my baby. I love you because he raised him. But it's a now the gap starting to thicken because you know if you take somebody in as a son, as a daughter, and and you take her as a child, as a daughter, and you ain't supposed to get with her, man. And even in her immature state, which is under 13 or 14, and then even still, they have to be guided by their fathers. And if they're not, they're going to be promiscuous like you see today. So a lot if you love your child, a man love his child and love his daughter, he's not a fucking child molester. You dumbass devils. But that's what America's starting to present out there. That's what the evil of the devil, the wicked ass demon Satan, and the rest of these devils. That's why the Most High is going to take them down. Because when they do shit, they'll allow Aaliyah and even some of her colleagues, Brandy and Monica, they was same age and shit when they came out, and then they end up into these dark ass places and harlotry and rituals and shit. That's cool, and they still get the idol worship from these so-called black women, even these men. When we do things in order and we do things by the law to the best of our ability, they got a fucking problem, man. So yeah, dwell with them according to knowledge. Honor unto the wife as unto the weaker vessel, as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers not be hindered. A weaker vessel is submissive. So I'm not giving a F with a woman if she's not submissive. That's another thing. And that's another thing that attracted me to the spirit of the voice of Aaliyah, that it was a soft, mellow, soft, womanly, mellow tone like Sade. It was soothing. It was comfortable. It was, because, Jake, we was going through some hell. We wanted to see what was comfortable for us or soothing to us. That's why they got soothsayers out there, but we're not supposed to listen to them, especially at a time of war. So that's why people want to go back to the 90s, because a lot of people were that a lot of that R&B that was out, and let's get together as families and try this, and crying out. And a lot of these women, it's mostly a lot of these women that want to go back to the 90s when men were chasing them and loved them and brought diamond rings and I'll give you the sun, moon, and the stars and shit. But that Most High is seeking Israel out, candle sifting, so to speak. So, and then you say you blame put all the blame on R. Kelly. Yeah, he's a, you know, you get weird. You got weird black Jakes out there, you know. But Aaliyah's first single, if I'm not mistaken, if this was her first, I think it was her first. Age ain't nothing but a number. Now the mother should have said, "Hey, what are y'all doing in here? Age don't nah, something's going wrong." Because what did Aaliyah say? Her parents were always with her, always. They were in the studio. Her uncle is the one that R. Kelly met to put Aaliyah on, to have Aaliyah in the studio. Yeah, we know about rituals. We know about this industry, how dark it is. We know about the CEO, the producers, and the gatekeepers and all that. And this was this case. But I'm just saying, even in your common sense of accusing prophets of things that you don't even know about, because it says accuse of our brethren, and it also says talking things that they not know. She was better off going according to an Israelite custom than she is with these people. But at the same time, her father and mother knew about it. When the single came out, or the song came out, her mother said, "So you know what? They've been going in that studio all this time, and then the first song that I see is Age Ain't Nothing But a Number. What the fuck is going on with my daughter and you?" Late nights, 2 o'clock, and even if they answered, "Well, ain't nothing going on," I don't give a fuck. She's only 13 or 14, and she was groomed before that. She was on Star Search at 5 years old, whatever. I'm just saying, parents are accountable to where you be like, "Nah, I'm not guaranteed. I don't want my daughter to be in that." You got to check out the industry, read over the contracts. No, they sold they baby girl into hoardism. Now, about time we heard her, she was 14, and about time she put an album out, she was probably 15. But when she turned 18 of age, she was legal according to American status, even regarding, you know, my lifestyle and me as a man. I was 23. And the parents, you know what the parents would have said? "Oh, you all right. You're not some old creepy ass man." But 1 year earlier would have been, according to American standards, would have been, I'm some kind of creepy dude. You know what I'm saying? I'm we're gonna have to lock you up because you were messing with a minor. It was a song by Will Smith. It was called "Parents Just Don't Understand," and he said he was 16 at the time, and he said he got caught with a 12-year-old runaway. And if you listen to that song, they're going back and forth like a conversation, like, yeah, and she's talking as an adult, the way he's telling the story. She's with it too. And but if you're 16, you don't know that a young woman is 12 years old. But nobody asks questions about that because it's Will Smith. It's all entertainment. Nobody's asking questions about these little girls on TV with makeup on and lipstick on, and and their hair done like a grown ass person. Nobody talked about Janet Jackson, how she was in love with JJ when she was on Good Times and strutting her stuff across the stage on the Variety Jackson show. I'm just saying, I'm just pointing out they're hypocrites. We're not saying that we like uh, little girls and shit, you demon ass fuck boys, and even these fuck women, and they'll go to the list to be devils. We're saying that you don't acknowledge the fact that when it comes to the scriptures and it comes to the breakdowns, and how the Most High set up things and orchestrate things in order. The man, the God, his son, man, woman, and child. When y'all don't follow that, but y'all try to make up your own rules and try to make sense, well, you don't make sense. Because if that was the case, she shouldn't have been coming out with an album until she was 18. Wait until you're 18. Wait until you're of age to come out with this first album. Age ain't nothing but a number, at least. What they do? No, they didn't. They sacrificed her, put her in the music industry at an early age, and she became on the dark side. The last movie she did was Queen of Damn, and I did a video about that, and women was getting on me like, but that's what she played. She played the Queen of the Damn. Damn means condemned, and in that movie, she was set on fire. She says she likes the dark side. She likes snakes and stuff like that, and 9 Inch Nails, and gothic stuff like that. Out of her own mouth, she said that. So don't act like we putting things on her and the rest of these celebrities and all that. They embrace that shit, man. You know? But I was in love with more of her music than her because I didn't even know her. But when I did find out that she was a pretty woman, I was like, oh, all right. But but that goes with saying too, because they portrayed her as a mature woman in her videos. And a man being 19, 20, and he's still young. And they always say it too. They say women mature faster than men. They say that. So if she was under supervision under the law, which was the case with Jacob and Leah, Jacob and Rachel, then she wouldn't have, and she had a holy father that followed the customs of Israel. None of this would. She wouldn't be dead right now, for the most part. She wouldn't be dead. They always like, nah, poor Leah, bring her back. She wouldn't. She would be dead. She would have been, still singing her songs in a humble, submissive way, and under the supervision of her father, in the house of her father, and in her husband, and so forth. But that's unlikely, very unlikely, most unlikely in the industry, because the industry is wicked as hell. So don't blame us like we wicked like these devils are. Anyway, last scripture. They know not what they ought to know. King James Version. 1 Corinthians 8:2, it says, if any man think that he knoweth anything, he knoweth nothing yet as he ought to know. But if any man love it, Yahweh Shai, the same is known of him. Yeah, you know something. When the Spirit is dealing with you, you actually know what you're talking about. When Yahweh Shai is dealing with you, express image of his Father, you actually know what you're talking about. So a lot of these men, they be like, oh, y'all this and that, y'all women haters, y'all grapers, y'all this and that. They don't know what the fuck they talking about, because the Holy Spirit is not dealing with them. Because if it was, they'd be like, oh, that makes perfect sense. Because how many daughters, how many young black women are they sacrificing and giving to the industry where they become whores? You already know what's popular now. Sukihana, Saweetie and all them, Sexy Red. Yeah, they was young just like Aaliyah. And they ended up being hardest because there's no supervision of true fatherhood, which comes from Yahweh Shai. And passed down to their, within their husbands too, it's supposed to be. I think At Your Best was the first single, maybe. That's the first song I heard. And it's a comforting song. You know, you can sing that song to your father, your grandfather. She didn't. It wasn't no promiscuous, no harlotry, harlot words in that song. But age ain't nothing but a number was kind of different. And then on forth, she started revealing more and more her body and even within her songs, you know. Uh, but I mean, that's how it goes when you're on the left hand side, you know. And that's just the truth about, even if we have crushes on these celebrities, they still wicked and they still gonna reach judgment. But she's in the spirit world, so I can't say too much about her. But what she displayed on earth and didn't mind sharing with people, you know. But in the cases of all these things happening now with Diddy and Jay Z, and even with Bill Cosby and Kelly, he's still they the so-called white man is doing all that shit and even more debauchery. But they want a black face, they want a scapegoat, they want an image of a so-called black man to be blamed, the accuser of our brethren, to get the steam off of him. Epstein disappeared when Diddy came out. The story of Epstein, they just said he died. Oh, okay, he's dead. They don't know he's fucking dead or not. You know? And they didn't even do the investigation with Aaliyah and R. Kelly, because if they did, they would find out everybody knew about this shit. Her mother knew about this shit. Her brother knew about this shit. Her uncle knew about this shit, how young she was going in the studio with R. Kelly 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and shit. And she's a fairly pretty woman, you know, a young woman. They all knew about that shit. So why ain't nobody talking about the whole scope of the thing? And they starting to learn, but they learning too slow. But we don't fuck with no damn little girls. We don't, our mental state through Yahweh, our shy is too high for that shit. And it always will be, because it's going to be order in the kingdom. Our women are not going to be greater than us in the kingdom, but they're going to be great among these nations and these other women of these nations and their children. But it's still going to be order, and that still is the fact that's still the thing today. That still should be implemented all across the world in these churches, but it's not. And that's why you got fucked up shit, stories like this. Because when you grow up and you come 18 and you get out there, many black men fail because they don't know what the fuck is going on. They was never taught. They're like, what the fuck? I never learned to open up a bank account, how to do my money and save and treasury, whatever. And then so-called the black women, Latina, they usually fall into the same thing because they wasn't properly groomed as women. So they be like, well, I'll just go to the streets. I'll just strip. That's the talk today. I'll just strip or sell. I'll get on fans only pay. They don't got a plan. So you gotta check you gotta examine your fucking self, and understand that the Most High is a power of a high, wisdom and maturity with His people, to where those dynamics play a order, to where there won't be no fuckery like molestation. There won't be no fuckery like a woman having sex with a father. There won't be no fuckery like incest and shit, which these fucking devils practice, because that's who they are. They go astray. They go astray as soon as they be born. So who's the real, you know, who's the real wicked man? Who's the real creep? And that's what the so-called black people don't understand. But they ain't said nothing about the sodomites. Like I said, in jail, there's a booty bending, and ain't no OG took that motherfucker down. Like nigga, there ain't gonna be no that shit among our people in here. Cause at the end of the day, when you really look at it, as far as what the black community want to become and black love want to become, there is no black community, and no uh, among my people. Anyway, hope you had a fun shalom.